on behalf of Sabita, Frisco, Sasha, who's taking a little bathroom break, Team Max at Scripps Hospice, and all of you, I want to welcome you to his celebration of life. We kind of never thought this day would come, did we? Because he was such a formidable guy. But here we are. So the order of service, if you will, is I'll do some readings, and then there's going to be a time of remembrance where I will say some words, and then Frisco, Sabita, possibly Sasha, if we're lucky, will say some words, and then we invite you all to come up if you'd like to just share a story or a thought or reflection about our little Maxwell Frisco George. God saw you getting tired, and a cure was not to be. So he wrapped his arms around you and whispered, "Come home to me." With tearful eyes, we watched you and saw you pass away. And although we love you dearly, we could not make you stay. A golden heart stopped beating. And when God gave you rest in God's garden, which must be ever so beautiful, he only takes the best, which he did. He, our little Max, was so very, very special and was so from the start. You held him in your arms, and like a single drop of rain, you mainly held him in your heart. His life did ripples make and touch the lives of all. He's gone home to play with angels in heaven up above. So keep your special memories and treasure them with love. Although your darling son Maxie was with you just a while, he'll live in your heart with a sweet, remembered smile. When a mother elephant loses her baby, the other elephants stand around in a circle. They surround her, allowing her the time that she needs to grieve and to mourn. They don't run or hurry her along or push her to abandon the body. They gently touch her with their trunks, a silent showing of unwavering support. And elephants have a profound communal sense of grief. Of all of the animals, they form a circle. They form a tribe, a grieving, mourning tribe. And that's what we're doing here today. We don't have trunks, but we have our way of nudging our grief along and surrounding Max's family with our heart and our love. And that's what we're going to do today. In whatever way and whatever gifts and whatever tributes you make, you each bring an individual precious place in his heart and he in yours. And so each of you has something to offer. And you'll either do that today or you'll do that in the future. You'll never forget this family. You'll never forget Sasha. This is where our work begins. We're grieving today, but this is where our work begins. Because a child's death forever changes a family and those who love him. The experience of grief is lifelong. It does not go away after a certain amount of time. It softens. But there's always a place in our heart and our soul that yearns for that child. So I was part of Max's team, and I wrote some words about him, and I tried to capture what we feel was the kind of the essence of Max, and you probably all have your own experiences of that. You know, that's just a little example of Max's life. Everything he did, he had to turn on a dime. He didn't have control of his life like you and I do. So always people were coming to him, people were doing to him, people were, you know, kind of in his face. And what I'm about to say is what he was in the face of all of that. It never bothered him. Maxwell Frisco George. It's amazing, isn't it, how many ways we speak, how many ways we talk. We speak like I am now, using words, inflections in our voice. We get excited with our words. Or like today, there's sadness to our words. We speak loudly or in whispers. And then there's Max, who had his own very special kind of language. Oh, he talked, all right. He belly laughed words. He echoed loudly. He cried out like you and I do. And he whimpered openly. But the main way Max talked, if you will, was through his eyes and his smile. His eyes connected you straight to his heart. Max was all heart. Max looked at you, he held your gaze, talked to you with his eyes and his smile, a laughter full of love. Sabita loves the wisdom of St. Paul. It got her through a lot of dark nights of the soul. And so from St. Paul's letter to the Corinthians, love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. Love always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And now these three main things, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. And that, love, was the essence of Max. For 12 years, through challenges, difficulties, hospitalizations, procedures, BiPAP machines, dialysis, tests of every kind, Max's resting heart rate was the beat of his heart. It was love. With all the tests and the new doctors and the new nurses and the new strange faces, Max endured all that was done to him, and he returned to hold your gaze and offer you his love. Even though Max could not talk the way you and I do, you knew his love, and it was special just for you. I kind of would like to say that Max and I had a thing, you know. I would wear necklaces and he would light up, and I think he was flirting with me. I don't know, I just would like to say that happened for me. Each one of us has that own little nugget of Max. His love for his mother was pure devotion. It was the love of all loves. His love for his dad was yearning with pure delight. His love for his little sister, Sasha, was big brother protective love, and he will always be her guardian angel and her protector. His love for Chela, is she here? Oh, muchas gracias. Muchas gracias. And of Desiree, it was pure kindness. Again from the Corinthians, Paul's letter. If I speak in human and angelic tongues but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or a clashing cymbal. Mac's resting heartbeat was love. It was not a gong, it was not a cymbal. We're all here because of his love, his courage, his fight, his strong spirit. He had fire. But mostly, we're here because of all that he went through with that love. Max taught us every day about love. He helped me and he helped us grow in love. That is his gift, his legacy of love that will never die. Our hearts are going to be heavy with grief, but Max's love will never die. Now, here, today, we honor and remember Max as we share stories and laughter and our tears together. Let that be his legacy. Let us be his love. People often ask at the time of death, what do I say? What do I say to the family? What do I do? Well, today, when you feel consumed about that uncertainty, when you feel consumed with your own grief, today you be love. Today you say love. Today you carry Max with you and cherish him and the love that you feel in your own heart. That is what you can do today and from this day forward. May it be so. Amen. Frisco?
My son Max. Son, I helped to create you, but you helped me become the man I am today. You taught me how to be a father, a better listener, and how to better empathize with everybody. Son, I am only human. There were times I wished you were able to crawl into my arms, or I was able to walk you to school, or watch you run and play, or say, Daddy, I love you. But son, I want you to know I wouldn't change a thing about you. You were perfect in every way, just the way you are. Your contagious, beautiful smile that showed us that you were happy. The smiles and giggles were much more than the sadness. Your amazing listening ability. You liked to listen more than you talked. When you were going through challenges in November, Daddy said to you, Max, somehow find a way to make it to Christmas, to the New Year, to your sister's birthday, to your 12th birthday. And you did it. You listened to Daddy. You made it. Your great strength. I have never met a stronger person in my life than Max. You endured so much in so little time. I learned to love you and appreciate you every single day. And thank you for sharing your precious little life with us. Son, you were given an incredibly loving and caring angels who helped you in your 12-year journey. Your mom, the person that knew you like no other. Blood results were her report card. I could see how excited she became and validated when the results were very positive, and how deeply concerned she was when something was wrong. She lived and breathed Max, and you couldn't have had a better partner in your life. Your sister, a loving and caring gem for 7 years. She says she loves you most because you never said anything bad about her. And everyone else who loved and cared for you like their own. Chella, her mom, her second mom, Teresa, Desiree, everybody else. Max needed such a big support staff to make it to 12 years, and everybody that helped him along the way. He is eternally grateful, and so are we. Son, I want you to know there is no deeper pain a parent can feel than losing your child while you're living. I will miss you, and I will cherish you every day of my life. Son, I want to read you a poem that I picked for you. This was the first poem that I looked at, and it said everything. Our little one, we will always love you. Our little one, we will always remember your sunshine and your fun. You touched everyone in the most special way. Now in God's playground, you will run and you will play. Safe in God's arms, He holds you tight. You live in His love, in His heart, and in His light. With all our heart and all of our love, we love you, Maxie. Love Mommy and Daddy. Sasha, you want to come up?
I just want to say that my brother is really nice. He never said anything bad about me, and he is the nicest person.
Thank you, baby. Sabita. Huh?
Let me start by thanking the Almighty, the Creator who really created my son, for the health and sanity He provided me to take care of him for 12 long years. There is no way humanly it would have been possible if it wasn't from His Creator, our Lord. He sent that His Holy Spirit and the strength. And that's why I am able to stand here with all the people who loved Him so immensely without even shedding a tear. I can speak to you all, and that strength can only be from the Almighty. It's not humanly possible. So I thank you, Lord, for all that you have given me to care for your angel. Secondly, I thank Max for picking me to be his mother. I cannot say enough how privileged every day I used to feel to be his mother. Of all the women in the world, he was born of me. Thank you, Maxie. I like to thank his father again. Of all the men in the world who could have been his father, God chose you to be his father. Thank you in helping me create Max. Next, I would like to thank Chela, his second mother. Te quiero mucho, Chela. Muchas gracias. It wouldn't have been possible for me to help him to see his 12th birthday without Chella. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Next, my parents. Daddy, I love you. My mother was a prayer warrior. I don't know how many rosaries she said. I wasn't an easy child, I know that, yes. And Max had that spirit as far as perseverance and putting their mind into something and we just get it done, yeah. They gave me strength in so many ways, mostly through prayers, even though they weren't physically present. I thank them for that. Obviously, next is my brother. He used to text me every single day in last 3 months. All he used to text me was, "I got your back, sister." And what that means to me, I can't explain right now. Thank you, Raju. Thank you. Next person. I'm not saying this in order, whatever comes to my mind. My aunt, who is sitting right here. Of all the years, the hardest was December. I can say that. With Max, when everything just fell apart and we thought we may not make it through Christmas. And my aunt, my dad's sister, she came from New York. She spent her Christmas, her wedding anniversary, New Year, everything with just me and Max. Thank you, Auntie. Susan, the first person who held Max before even his mother at time of his birth. Where do I start, Susan? Thank you. You were the first touch that he felt from a woman. You used to massage him, and I think all those singing, all that touches, that's what kept him fight the initial days of his life. Miss Hedda was the last teacher or the companion that Max had in school. She had a special bond with him. Almost like his mother. And at times, Miss Hedda, I felt a little jealous. Yes, because I thought like he was giving more smiles to you than me. Thank you. As you all know, Max had a tough start. And there were so much uncertainty as far as how are we going to face his or see his, take care of him, let's face it. So many expenses and all that things that comes to raising a special child was indeed worrisome. The lawyer who helped us to get us justice was a huge part of our lives to give some kind of clarity and comfort that we can give everything medically possible for our son. Miss Virginia Nelson, I remember her. The first doctor, Dr. Brumberger, and then the list goes on. And I apologize if I miss anybody, but Dr. Jorgen, I can see him right there. His nephrologist, because a failed kidney was one of the biggest challenges Max had. Dr. Jorgen was one of those doctors. He knew what he needs right away, and he was aggressive. He never shied back. Dr. Browdy, I see him right there. His primary care pediatrician, wow, I can't thank you enough, doctor. He used to go beyond his call of duty. He would call at 9:30 p.m. to check on Max. And I haven't seen that kind of service, not very often. Dr. Bauer, I don't know whether she's here, is she? I don't know. Oh, she's at a conference. She was the last doctor. used to come. The whole team of hospice. Nurses, his home nurse, Edward Vargo. Are you here, Ed? Maybe he hasn't gotten here. Desiree, I know she's here. She was only with Max from January 5th till the day of his demise. But she was special to Max, I know. The whole team. Friends, I don't know where to start. Let me start mentioning Philip Uncle and Gigi Andy. They were so special to us. The first few years, I wouldn't have survived without the support of them. My husband's brother, John, even though he didn't spend a lot of time with him, he was special to Max. My daughter's stepmom, Ani, what you have done to me is immense in the sense being there for my daughter. Thank you. My neighbors, I have to mention them, Dimar and Brenda. They took care of my daughter in I don't know how many hours. So many of my girlfriends, I don't know, I see a lot of them. They took care of me, even I never felt like, because of my friends around Chula Vista especially, I never felt like I don't have, my family is on the other side of the globe. I never felt that way. They would bring food, they would force me to dance. I don't know, every which way they helped me to get through this difficult time. People around the world, anybody who heard Max's name, I don't know, they would start praying for him and the family. Thank you to all of them for the praying, for the prayers. What I remember about Max is that how he used to endure pain with a smile. I think it's a special gift that he had. The worst procedure that when he was going through, whether getting a central line, going through a 3-hour dialysis, every person, the dialysis technician, he would give the biggest smile, and that's what I learned. I think one of the most precious things I learned from him. Even at your worst day, you face that with a smile. Thank you, Maxie. I have so many memories that maybe someday I'll share with you all. I don't know, I have one too many. We have a special bond, obviously, spending the most time together. I can say without any doubt that he was one of the best things that happened to my life so far, and it will be for the rest of my life. Just for the people who haven't heard it from me, just a few things that happened towards the last few days of his life I like to share. Max was doing well with his kidneys through twice-a-week dialysis. Even though that was our biggest concern, he was doing well. He had several pneumonias, at least a couple from last November, but he fought through all that. Last Monday, his oxygen, he was on oxygen, just 2 liters of oxygen. We came back home from dialysis from Tijuana, and his oxygen saturation started going down for no reason. There was no excess secretion, breathing difficulty, nothing. He would just stare at me, and then, he would just started going down no matter what I try or do. It wouldn't come back up. And for some reason, we both knew that he may not make it to the weekend. My parents called, so many people called, but I didn't tell anybody that it was that bad, or there is something that we both feel so strongly that these are the last few hours. By Tuesday morning, it almost felt like he is slowly going into a coma. He wouldn't open his eyes were closed most of the time. But every time I kissed his forehead, whether it's an involuntary thing or not, according to the medical science, he would open his eyes. And he would look at me and he would close. By Tuesday night, his breathing got very difficult. I would just try to hold him and kiss him as much as I could. Tuesday night was very tough. I put him back on the BiPAP machine, which is the breathing machine, but he showed me that he was more uncomfortable on that machine rather than just getting the oxygen through a mask. So I put him back on his oxygen mask around 3 a.m. Wednesday, he looked much better, as Desiree knew. He wasn't passing any urine or had no bowel movement. The whole morning was a poo-poo party. So as Desiree says, we told him you can have the party. We'd rather have you, poop than not poop. By afternoon, again, he looked very tired. And somehow, afternoon, Teresa came, because every Wednesday afternoon, Teresa is her companion or the mommy for the afternoon. And I wanted to tell her it's slightly different, Teresa, this time, Maybe she knew. The time she said goodbye, he would open his eyes. And she would go to the door and she would come back because he's opening his eyes for her. And I told her, this is something different. Around 8 o'clock, I got in bed with Max. Oh, before that, something very important happened, and I like to share this. One of my friends, Stacy, and my neighbor, Demar, came. Stacy strongly believes in holistic healing, and she's getting trained, I believe, in that. So we were laughing and kind of making, it little light, the atmosphere. And I asked Stacy, what kind of energy do you feel from Max this time? What did he say to you? I don't know why I felt like asking her that. She said, can I be honest? Oh, I said, I can handle anything. Please be honest. She said, Max is still worried about you. And I'm like, why? What do you mean? His soul wants to leave Sabita, but he's still worried about Mommy. I asked her, what can I do to make him feel comfortable? I don't want him to worry no more. She didn't say anything, but I knew what I have to do. So after she left, I crawled in bed with him. I turned him to my chest. We were cuddling. And for the first time in 12 years, every time there is an emergency, there is a medical challenge, what I whisper in Max's ears normally are, Max, fight. Fight, buddy, we can get through this. I'm here, we are a team. And we're gonna fight, and we're gonna get through this, and you're gonna come out of this. With all the struggles and pain he went through from last May, for the first time, I told Max, Maxie, my son, it's okay. You can go. You can leave because Mommy is going to be okay. Don't worry about mommy. Not anymore. What I want is to leave the struggle and be with your father. And this happened around 9 p.m. Wednesday night. Of course, he always listened to his mother. And I knew he would this time. I couldn't go back to sleep. Like I said, we both knew today's the last night. I went and got some chamomile tea. His eyes were closed most of the night. I would come back every 20 minutes or so, kiss him. He would open his eyes. He looked very peaceful. He didn't cough as much as he used to. Around 5 a.m., I come to him. Normally I feed him through G-tube around 7. But that day, I don't know. I felt like I want to feed him early. So I told Max, you're going to eat breakfast early today at 5 a.m. His eyes were closed. He was still breathing. I connected. It goes for 2 hours. 7 o'clock, his feed was done. So, you flush the tube and then you start giving his morning meds. At that time, his second mother, Chella, comes to the room. I can hear. I just went to my bedroom, which is very close to his room. And the door is always open, so we can hear each other. Chella is coming as usual and talking to him in Spanish. He loved Spanish music, and he loved everything about Chella. In Spanish, she is telling him, behave, Maxie. I'm going to drop your sister in school. And when I'm going to come back, we have a long day, and there are some of the stuff that we have to do, and I can hear all this conversation. So I told her, can you push the seizure medicine? That's the first medicine he gets. So she said, yeah, I'm going to give him the seizure medicine. And then I hear her leave the room around 7:30. So I come back and I just look at him and I say, I told Max, Mommy's going to brush. Even though I was up all night, I didn't brush officially. So I said, Max, Mommy's going to brush and then I'm going to come back. You didn't pee enough yesterday. So we have a long day, a lot of stuff to do today. So I'm going to go brush and then I'm going to come back and we're going to start our day. His eyes were closed. He was breathing. I went, brushed, washed my face. It might have taken 12 minutes, no more than that. I come back. I'm eager to go close to him. And I see that his face is a little pale. His lips doesn't have the same color as I left to brush. I get close to him. All of a sudden, I realize that it's only the oxygen machine. The sound. There is no sound of him breathing. I just realized that. I just took off the mask and I gave him a kiss and I held him. His face was a little cold, but his body was warm, which tells me that he just stopped breathing. It just happened. He always loved his mom so very much. I always used to worry about when he takes that last breath. I have seen so many struggle. The breathing, heavy breathing goes for 20 hours, 40 hours, days. How am I going to look at him and face that? Maybe at that time, my decision to not put him back on the ventilator may change. Because I cannot see my child die like that. No, I may. So how am I going to see that? I'm saying I'm ready. I told him yesterday you can leave. But when I see that physically, will I be able to? He took care of that. He sent mommy to brush for 10 minutes. Normally his nurse comes at 8 a.m. That day Max made me text her for no reason. Desiree, he looks like he is still sleeping. You don't need to come at 8, come at 9. He was very smart. He knew if Desiree comes, She sits there, then I go. Something start going not usual. He's going to call me. He's going to call mommy, and mommy's going to go haywire. All that cry and scream. Max never liked that. So he took care of that as well. Come later. I didn't scream or cry. I cried, of course. We both were at so much peace. And Stacy, I have to thank you for that. You helped me to give that last thing that my son wanted to hear, that permission. I strongly believe that's what was he needed. He wanted that permission from me. He would have stayed on oxygen, I don't know how long, in so much pain and distress, just because his mom never said to him that you can go now. And he listened. Thank you, Maxie. That's what exactly happened at the last minutes of his life. What I want to focus now, I won't take too long. Max and I had a dream. We still have. I do believe that most of us make promises sometimes when your loved ones are already gone to the other side. I thought it is important that I make a commitment or a promise with Max while he is alive, because that would make me more accountable. Every minute I would think, oh my God, yeah, no, I cannot turn back now. I wanted a home which will be called Max's home, to take care of children like him. And I wanted to do in my birth country in India. I knew there is a lot. Just with my limited resources or just having a dream, it may not materialize. But we did take that promise though. That is what is going to make the sufferings and pain that we both went through, the nights that we cried, or I cried, he cried inside, is going to make all that meaningful. How can I continue his legacy? So I was looking for a property, and believe it or not, last week at least 3 people from nowhere came to me and said, we wanted to donate the land. And I'm like, really? Real estate is so expensive. Why do you want to donate? That's where I'm going to stop about those technicalities. But everything was falling in place in such a way that it almost scared me. That it is a message. Max is setting everything up, and he's telling me, Mommy, it's time to stop your nursing care for me. You won't get out of this house if I am here. So guess what? Your job is done. Go do what you promised me, or what we promised together, and fulfill your dream, our dream. And that's how I'm going to continue his legacy. Give what I learned and earned from him through our suffering. Good, bad, everything. Give that love to the kids, how many ever I can. Share that with the family. Give that love to them. I want all of you who all are going to come and speak, I want you all to focus on your memories on Max. I know as a mother, I did great. We were a great team. You don't need to speak about the care he got. He got the best care. And that wasn't just because I was great. It was a teamwork. He always got the best team, the best doctors. Even when we went to Mexico, the best nephrologist. He can get there. He's not here, Dr. Marco. I cannot thank enough. One last person to thank, and then I will be done. Fernando, a family friend of mine. He's the one who drove Max twice a week, like his son, to Mexico. And because of you, I got 2 more months of Max's life. Thank you, mijo. Thank you. So, my journey is just starting. It's just the beginning. And I'm not going to leave any of you who loved Max. I want volunteers to complete my dream, Max's dream. It's going to be called Max's Home. Anytime any of you ever even think about retiring, you are coming to Max's Home. We have a lot to do. And Dr. Jorgen, you too. Don't think that she's not going to call me asking, what is Max's creatinine? Now I have more babies. I don't mind making international call. All of you all, help us to make Max's dream come true. Thank you so much for the immense love. I see Sasha's teacher there. Thank you. She made cards for Max when he was in the house. She made her kids make cards. I thank you, Sasha, for her braveness, how she got through all this with such bravery. She told me, Mommy, I am happy that Max and you, that's what shocked me, are no longer in pain. When you suction him, I know Max does this, which means he's feeling the pain. And you were in pain too, doing that to keep him alive. Now both of you don't have to feel the pain. So don't cry, Mommy. And one last thing she told me last night was, Max couldn't see, walk, or talk here. But remember, Mommy, he's doing all that in heaven. Shouldn't you be happy? And that was all I needed. And that's why I can stand here now and thank you all. Thank you.
There's a bit of change in the service. I'm actually going to another service, and so what I'm going to do is end my piece of it. And then I'm leaving the microphone on for you all to come and say what you'd like to say. You have stories and you have tales about Max. Psalm 23, which is what we said at his bedside when we anointed him. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still water. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear, for you, Lord, are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Surely goodness and mercy followed him all the days of his life, and he is residing in the house of the Lord forever. And the closing prayer, dear Lord, Holy One, dear God and companion of all suffering, bind us with your love strongly and fiercely to the memories of Max, memories that are stored deep within us. May these memories never wear out when death grows distant. We want to forever honor and cherish the goodness of Max. You, O Lord, O Holy One, you are the God and the guardian of our grief. Please lift up our sad hearts. Let us find laughter in the midst of our loss. Let us find hope in the midst of our sadness. Let us find comfort in the midst of our emptiness. Let us find meaning in the midst of our confusion. Let us find you, O beloved, as our solace, as our calm, as you comfort our aching hearts. Amen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close my book, and I'd like to invite you to come up to share some stories. And I'd like to hand the microphone to whoever would like to do that. Don't be shy, because Max was not.
So we have been meeting Max for last 12 years. I know Santosh and Sabita had some challenges, like dealing with Max every day, helping him. It had always not been very positive. I mean, very comforting because of all the challenges. But I've been meeting Max mostly for on good occasions, his birthdays, festivities. So I only remember Max in terms of positive experience. So I would like to share one story. It was Max's third birthday, and Sabita had decided to celebrate the birthday with the orphanage in Mexico. So we all went to Mexico, and all the friends and family, they donated very liberally to that orphanage. So Max was very happy that day. He had never seen that many people, I think, together at one time. So I could see like brightness in his eyes and smile, and he was really happy. But not only that, that Max, because of Max, there was happiness in lives of orphanage, and there were probably hundreds of kids there. So all the kids, they had really good time, and they got presents, and we had good company there. And it was a long day. When we came back, Max was still very smiling and happy.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. I'm John. I'm Frisco's brother. So I remember when Max was born, there's a lot of time in the hospital, and a lot of time in the hospital since that as well, right? His smile was always there, but at the beginning it was a lot of struggle. And I'll give you maybe the third party perspective here, as I saw Frisco and Sabita welcome their first child, and along with that, a good amount of sadness that came along with this, which should have been a joyous occasion on the regards. And the struggles that I, witnessed them go through just from a decision standpoint early on. Okay, what do we do here? The questions that the doctors were asking, decisions that they felt that maybe they were forced to make, that no parent should have to make, right? That there were questions, and it's like, how do you struggle against that? What is the right decision as a parent? What is the right thing to do? What should I do? I don't know. Nobody has answers to these questions. But they somehow persevered, right? They made the best decisions that they could at the time, just out of pure love for their son. That's basically it. There was no logical choices there, right? And they made it through, and Max made it through. And then, as time went on, the struggles didn't stop, but I didn't see them shy away from that. And then sometime later, Sasha came along. And amazingly enough, she had a brother and then Max had a sibling, a sister, that really loved him. And you could really see that. That's such a blessing, right? And to have that both for Frisco and Sabita and for Sasha, it is a very, very blessed thing, right? Now, as time went on, right, it's like Max persevered in so many different ways. And so I live in Houston, and when I got the call, I was very much in shock that he passed. Why? Because it's been 12 years, and he always gets through this. He gets through. That's what he does. And I've almost gotten to a point where I take it for granted. I know there's a lot of work involved in getting him through, but I mean, my opinion of him is he's a survivor. And so it was a great shock that he's not there anymore. It was very much a great shock. Now, I'm not here to answer or question, the timing or anything. Who are we to do that, right? All I can recognize is that, I saw my brother and Sabita and Sasha feel Max's love. And it was not a one-way relationship. I mean, they are better because he was in their lives. And I think a lot of people can agree that that's the case. So, I mean, I thank you all for being part of his life. And, we owe him a debt of thanks for being part of ours. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Francis. My wife is here, and I'm the uncle of Sabita. That means her auntie's husband. As we heard a couple of minutes ago from the introductory speech of the hospice's team member, yes, Max is gone to play with the angels in the heaven. Yes, it is true. Because Max born in February 2005, from that day onwards, he never played with anybody, and he was struggling to live in this world and fighting for the life. And his mother, Sabita, was taking care of him to retain his life. Yes, I remember one thing in 2010, Sabita Fristo visited New York, and they came to my house, and he was lying in the couch, and I was feeling very bad, and I'm very sad to see him when I was moving around. He was looking, and he was just going his mind when he heard the sound of walking through the floor. And he never disturbed or giving any trouble to anybody in his life. And he is the only one person to have the chance to play with the angels in the heaven. So thank you very much. And I pray for him to have a eternal life and the rest in peace in the hands of God. Thank you very much.
I know Max the next day he was born. And before that, I have never met Santosh or Sabita. It was through Sajeev, who said, like, we have to go and pray for Max. And I still remember the time we went to the hospital, we met Santosh and Sabita, and they were so young, and they were put up with this task of what to decide. And there were people telling to pull the plug. And there were people telling them they have to keep the child. And that time, they don't know, I don't know, people might not know whether they took the right decision, but now I could see they made the right decision to not pull the plug. It might be tough, but whenever I go to Santosh home, I could see him as a caring father. He always go and feed him or taking care of him. And he did whatever he could. And he's always proud. The one thing I want to say about Santosh is he's always proud of Max. I may not have spent a lot of time with Max, but whenever I go, that's what I see. Whenever I see Sabita, she was such a caring mom. I don't know anybody else would have kept him alive for 12 years until the time God took him in his hands. And one last thing I want to say about Max, all these years that I know him, was you can pretty much say he is a kid who knew no sin. And he will be definitely in the hands of the Father in heaven. And one day, we all will see him, and he'll be happy there. And when we see him, he's all going to be happy, playing around, running. And especially for Santosh and Sabita, they will feel they made the right decision in their life. He will be missed because whether we directly been with him or not, but we always ask him, when we call Santosh, how is Max doing? Or how is Sabita, how is Max doing? And probably we may not be able to ask him. And he'll be missed. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. I'm Sabita's friend Anu. And when I first met Max, he was less than a year old. But after that, I met him several times when I went for my dance rehearsals at Sabita's home. Many times he was sick, but we always saw him smiling, and he seemed to be enjoying the sound of music and hear our dance steps. He was indeed a very brave soul. I know it's very difficult for all of us gathered here to come to terms with his loss. But I want to focus on what comes next for this brave little angel. He now has a chance to start afresh in this circle of life. May he achieve and do what he missed in this journey, and may he be blessed with an equally loving and wonderful family and a great circle of friends. Thank you. Amen.
As a general pediatrician, I'm privileged to work with a lot of patients and families, and I always learn something from all my patients, but it's rare when I get to learn something or learn the amount that I've learned from Max and the George family. I don't know even where to start because Max has taught me so much on so many levels. Certainly as a doctor, he's taught me a lot. Taught me what I don't know. But he's taught me so much as a physician, but also certainly as a parent and just as a human being. It's really incredible. And in medicine, we rarely get a chance to be inspired to the degree that we really were with Max and with the George family. And I really feel privileged that I was a small part of that team, big team, a small part. And I was thinking that all that I learned and all that inspiration from Max would now be over now that he's gone. And after hearing everyone speak today, especially Mrs. George, about Max's home, I really feel that that inspiration will really continue on. And I know for sure that Max's home will become a reality. And I just feel that in my heart. And so I just wanted to thank Max and thank the George family for everything you've given me and the privilege it's been for me. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Lynn Allinger, and I'm Sasha's teacher. And I have had the good fortune of having Sasha for 2 years. She was in my kindergarten class, and now she's in my first grade class as well. So I've been hearing about Max for some time. And when Max was in the hospital just a couple months ago, everybody in the class, all 26 children, made him some cards. And I can't take the credit. I think it was Sasha's idea, but then Sasha took him all the cards, and I guess she read them to him and helped cheer him up at a time where he was very sick. And then Sabita said, well, to the kids, would you like to meet Max? And she brought him to our classroom. And she rolled him in, and he sat in front of the whole classroom. If he was shy, it didn't show. He was smiling, and the children were asking some questions about what his life was like, and Sabita answered the children's questions, and Max smiled and laughed, and he really brought some sunshine into our room that day. I will never forget his smiling face. So thank you very much. I admire you both so much for all those years of happiness that you gave him, and he gave a lot of people happiness too, I can see. So thank you.
Hi, I am Sabita and George's friend Sandeep. And I know it's very sad to see Max now leave us, but I want to talk to Max if he's hearing me. I have a few things I want to share. I have a story to actually share. So first of all, Max, I know it was a painful phase of your life, and now you are at a better place. But I recently, as most of us probably have been on Facebook or social media, I happened to see a very interesting picture on Facebook. Some of you might have already seen. I saw it is about a wildlife photographer who posted it on Facebook. There is this mother deer, and the picture is very, very difficult to see because there are 3 cheetahs on her neck, and she's looking straight. And I was immediately interested in knowing what's going on, so I read further, and this is what happened. So the National Geographic photographer is shooting a chase by 2 cheetahs towards these baby deers who are running at the full speed, and suddenly it became very clear that the cheetahs are going to eat those babies, and something weird happened. The mother deer suddenly intervened. Even though she could have easily outrun the cheetah, it came and offered herself to the cheetahs. The photographer went into a depression. He was surprised she could have easily outrun and protected herself, but the motherly instinct came over, and he understood what is something called as sacrifice. So Max, I feel your mother, Sabita, really did a big sacrifice for you. And she spent those 12 years when everybody gave up on him, almost said that, as somebody said, pulled the plug. You never gave up on him. So Sabita, I think you are a true blessed mother. And Max, you should be proud that you got in this life a mother like Sabita. And while you are watching from above, Don't worry about her. We will take care of her. She'll be our friend. We are all blessed to have her in our life. I don't want to underestimate Santosh's contribution too, but Sabita, I have known you more, and what you have done is exemplary, and Max will never, ever forget your contributions. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cora Jacob. For Max, Sasha, and Sabita, I am Cora Auntie. Going to a funeral, no matter what, is sad. Going to a child's funeral is just very wrong. Losing a child in any way is probably the singular most devastating to anyone, especially the parents, could be asked to endure during a lifetime. In the natural order of things, parents are not meant to bury their children. Yet, through illness like Max, a parent's worst nightmare can and does happen. Some people I've met over the years still have not fully recovered the deaths of their children. And when that occurs, getting on with their own lives does not fully happen. Many others have made peace with their losses, having emerged perhaps more appreciative of the life that they have to move forward. The death of Max shatters the myth of how life is supposed to be. Parents are not supposed to bury their children. Parents expect to watch their children grow into adulthood, having given them what they'll need to succeed. And then, as life continues, parents expect to sit back and enjoy their children's lives and the lives of their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. The death of a child cheats their parents of this reward. Then I saw Sabita's words, please share something about Max. I have a lot of things to share about Max, but two that I picked from my list of things were the two celebrations of his past birthdays. One of these two celebrations was, picture this, a bus loaded of friends, families, on our way to Tijuana. I'm pretty sure it's very fresh on Sabita's mind and on Santosh's mind. We had a ball that day, equipped with clothes, books, lots of toys for the orphans in Tijuana. The family, especially Max, had chosen not having a birthday party at home, not having a piñata full of candies. Instead, let's go to the orphanage in Tijuana. And I have not seen Max at a very early age with his bright smile, very happy, while we and the children at the orphanage, everybody that was there, serenaded him with Las Mañanitas. He was so happy. He interacted with all the children, babies to the older one. We enjoyed lunch together. They enjoyed playing. We spent our whole day there in that orphanage in Tijuana. And he was very happy sharing all the things, the toys, anything he has in his hand. He was just glorious, full of satisfaction of a birthday celebration like that. The other birthday celebration that's very recent was his 12th birthday. Sabita, Sasha, and caretaker Chela made a tradition that for the past 3 years, Max and his mom and Sasha's birthdays were celebrated at St. Gregorius Orthodox Church in San Diego. The last time we saw Max was he attended the Holy Kurbana at the church. And what was very memorable to me is when January came in and I got in contact with Sabita, we were very, very concerned. His appearance at the church might not be possible. He was very sick. So we both agreed, let's take it one day at a time. She shared with me that he has to go treatments 3 times a week, cross the border, 3 times a week for this young child. So we took it day by day. Friday before the Saturday Kurbana, Sabita texted me, Auntie, we're on the way for his treatment today. Pray for us. Let's see what happens at the end of the day. Lo and behold, Saturday morning came. We were all standing in church, Achan facing the door. I saw Achan's face look up with a smile. Max wheeled in. And he was there to celebrate his birthday. No knowledge that that will be his last. So Mom, Sasha, Chela, and of course Max wheeled him to the front of the altar. He was blessed by Achan. We sang him the birthday hymn. And I observed that more than 3 times during the celebration of the Mass, he was wheeled in and out every time he had challenges. But fortunately, he stayed throughout the service. And our service is not short. They're way long. But he knew how it was. He stayed there. He was looking forward to the singing of happy birthday, to the blowing of the cake, the candles that he has been looking forward to. So he wheeled in, wheeled out. The celebration of the Mass ended. We walked out to the dining hall. Max was right there with the children and all the other birthday celebrants, waiting to blow the candles. We sang happy birthday, and he was just as happy as ever. He posed for pictures, in which I even shared with you, with Achan, Mommy, Sasha, and I. We had no inkling that that would be our last picture with Max. Then, while in a meeting Thursday, I looked down at my phone, and Sabita's message is, Auntie, Max is no more. Well, I have good memories of Max. And I'm pretty sure families and friends, we all do. It was a life that was cut short. But I would like to share something about lives that are cut short. Especially when Achan expressed it yesterday at our service in church. He talked to us, to the congregation, and said, Max went to heaven. And he said, Max had a heavenly departure. We are sad. But he assured us that Max went home to be with the Lord and the angels in heaven. A chant in the congregation said our most heartfelt prayer and condolences to Max's parents, Sasha and Chela, and other relatives and friends. Probably like just yesterday, we will leave her today sad and grieving. Let us leave this church inspired by Max and his life's journey. If we've never been sure of anything, it is that Max was sent here to this earth to work through us to inspire others, to change people, to open people's hearts to endless possibilities, especially with children with challenges, to inspire hope and healing to even the hopeless. It is a beautiful gift for me personally to help usher Max into heaven. I knew that in heaven, his body would experience a freedom that he couldn't attain in this earth. There are always unacceptable miracles along the way of everybody's life, even in the worst moments of our lives. If you take the time to look for them, you'll find them just the way Max found his, to live for 12 years. Very difficult and challenging years was a miracle. May this Bible verse that I would like to share with you inspire us all the same way Max taught us. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes the lie between in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me, dear Lord. Your rod and they will all comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and loving kindness will follow me at the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23. And thank you.
Hello. Hello, everybody. Dear ones, I am Augustine, Sabita's father. I have come from India yesterday evening. So as you, some of you have, and all of you have, you are speaking, of course not weirdly, but I know how much you people are loving Sabita, Frisco, Sasha, Chella, and all those who are associated with their life, of course, Maxi. As we know, being grandparents or parents, how much difficult for us to be in India. We are living there, and every moment we have to think about Savita, Frisco, and Maxi going through the struggle. I mean, stress, pain. So one day evening I was sitting alone. So my mind walked through, really something asking to God straight. God, tell me, make me understand what I have to do. My daughter is here. It is not so near. It's very far away. I have to be in peace. I have to go to sleep peacefully, thinking that, okay, you will take care of them. By faith, of course. Then, anyway, a few moments just passed. I want to know the meaning, of course. I know we cannot understand what is happening because it is God's plan, Still, I waited for some moments. Then something came into my mind. Something I asked, I thought I am getting, or I have to get an answer before I go to bed. Okay, as if somebody was telling in my mind, Arya, why you are so worried? Why you are disappointed? You believe in God? For certain, I am 74 years. Of course, 60, 65 years, I kept my faith in God. Means nothing will happen without His permission and His knowledge. I still believe. Of course, that is what guiding me in my life. That's what I am standing in front of you. So it is came like this, Arya, why you are so worried? Your daughter is taking care of a living saint. Because nothing has stained Max in the world. So you have to be proud of your daughter taking care, and I kept Maxi. I found only your daughter putting for that job. So you have to be proud of that. Why you are worried? I only gave her Max. Yeah, it struck so strongly. Yeah, really. Because as somebody mentioned here, no stain or sin or worldly things, nothing. He is a living saint, and I strongly believe it. Any of we can think about, just think a few moments. Yeah, 12 years, after 12 years. Normally we know, I think many of us know, when you canonize means, when you declare a person is saint, of course, after their death. Isn't it? Putting all the pros and cons of his life, merits, demerits, and everything. So how, what do you call, how much blessed we are to be gathered, to attend Maxi's, so to say, a person's funeral function, knowing without any doubt, he was a living saint, and he is saint, and he is going to continue his work more strongly, more freely, because he has broken through all the limits of his physical ailment limitations. Am I right? All the boundaries are open for him now because he is with God. I don't have any doubt. As she said, mentioned, not only we so to limit it, we are going to continue the job he has started, I think Wednesday night, isn't it? It's a beginning. And that is death gave, I think, all of us. Yeah, we are supposed to and we will continue his job. He is telling, he is lying there, of course, but he is telling silently, Are yaar, I am not the only person. You have to take care, or we have to take care. So I don't want to limit your freedom, so I say goodbye. So this is what I have experienced, of course. I could not find anything because I could not fight with him, because he cannot talk or walk or anything. So really, I am happy, of course, physical. This thing is very difficult for parents, grandparents, of course. I agree with that. So I want to share. All of these things, of course, so many things to say. And I thank all of you, of course, my daughter, Frisco, and all those who have associated Chella. I know so many are. So thank you. Thank you all. Thank God.
My name is Dr. Peter Jorgen, and I'm a Christian physician, and I know there are many times that I prayed for Max and his family. And I also want to let you know that for many of you who were praying for Max and for his family, that those prayers were heard. Not only during those times during clinic visits when there was really blood draws and other things to be suffered through, Max smiled through all of that, and there was an immense sense of joy, and not only that, but his parents too, just amazing their kind of grace that came with being with him and being with all the doctors and all the staff. Also, there were times when things looked really bad and that he may not even make it, and that there were miracles in that, you know, your prayers were answered. He probably would have died a number of times, and yet, you know, he came through it, and it's really, really remarkable. And I, as a physician, can attest to that really, again, God was at work in the midst of all those misery and all those challenges. Also, I just want to tell you that, again, that just looking at that, the way that this family has handled this service and has interacted with each of us and the way that they love us and the grace also should show you something rather unique, and that's just the love of God that's present in this room. So anyway, God bless all of you, and thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Susan. It's very difficult for me to be up here talking. I was Max's first nurse and his primary nurse. And as we all like to keep watch and do our best at what we do, I used to be a labor and delivery nurse, but my last 30-some years were a NICU nurse. And so I was aware of what went wrong. The placenta is certainly a lifeline, and when something gets interrupted, that is causes asphyxia, so to speak. And there was a very subtle tracing on Max's fetal monitor, very subtle one, that's called sinusoidal, and it means that the infant is about ready to expire. And that wasn't recognized until he was sectioned about 3 hours later. As doctors consult with the families about their options, they're very sensitive. They're not trying to make parents make any decision. They want them to have all the information that they have available. His brain scans were showing little activity. He had no urine for at least 3 days. Those are signs that all the organs have failed. He was given a diuretic to help him urine with, of course, a catheter in place. I can't recall what it was because it was never given in the NICU before. I think it was so rare it's hardly given to adults. Around the same time, I think that his catheter was irrigated and a blood clot came out. And so it was after 3 days he did have a little urine. And so what families experience then is, this is a miracle. Families can't make these kind of decisions without experiencing things. You can't tell them what it may be like. They have to experience it. They can't give up hope. And so as the weeks went on, I became so attached to this family. Sabita's mother, Bridget, was here. And I really had so much sorrow for how much she suffered because she was there, and she's a nurse from India. In India, they don't specialize. They do a lot of things in many fields. But she had concerns, and she wasn't really paid enough attention to, was her experience, she thought. But what she told me within even a week or so was, we've accepted this as our fate, and we're praying for the people in labor and delivery because we know they're suffering. And so I don't need to go on about how special Max was, because we all know that. These infants that have experienced this type of insult are often very irritable and bouncing endlessly because they have pent-up energy. But Max never did that. We never even saw Max cry out or cry. He always had that smile. He always had that spirit. So I always held him, and when I visited him throughout the years and tried to keep in touch, I just sang a song to him, and I can't carry a tune, but my song was, Abba, Abba, Father, you are the potter, and we are the clay. Because we don't know why things happen the way they do. But it certainly has been an honor to know this family and all the gifts that I've received from all of them. Thank you.
I'm Riva, and Sabita is my dear friend. Max reminds me of one of the famous quote. We come to love not by finding the right person, but learning to love an imperfect person perfectly. We come to love somebody who's having so many challenges unconditionally. That was Max. He was like a hero, and that is Max. Isn't that love powerful? doesn't that love make us stronger? Doesn't that love make us braver? Isn't it powerful, actually? The scriptures talks about that. The Bible talks about it. The Quran talks about it. Love unconditionally. And some parents, like Sabita, and I can relate to her at a much closer connection as a parent of child with special needs. And I know her path. I've seen her struggle. I've been there, done that. I know how it is to have a child cry in the middle of the night and you just don't know what to do. You crack your brains to understand why he is crying because you just don't know. And you're so helpless trying to figure out what to do with this child. Why is he crying? And we crack our brains for hours and hours. There's no end to it. I've been there, and I understand Sabita much deeper level. But when I look at it, I think it's just a few parents, the lucky ones, who are blessed with angels like Max. We have children, those are special. Those are challenges, but they teach us a lot. They teach us how to be powerful. They teach us how to give unconditionally. They teach us how to be a better individual. That is how I look at Max. For me, Max is a hero. He's an angel. I think I call him a yogi. He was so crippled, prisoner in his space. He couldn't do anything. He was caught up in his own physical body. But yet, look at the love he spread. Look at the joy he brought in people. Look at how brave he was in his place, and he could move people's hearts so strongly. Isn't he a yogi? Why should we think he is a special child? Why should we think that he left us? He taught us all a better lesson, how to be independent, how to be stronger, how to love unconditionally. And that was his purpose in life. And that is exactly what he did. And these children teach us to be better parents. These children are angels, and we are blessed to have these children. And I understand Sabita. I understand her path as a parent of a child with special needs. I understand, and I think we are fortunate to have such children. That's how I look at it. And now moving on, I want to really wish best to Sabita. I really want you to find your true love, find your purpose in life, find your passion. I wish you all the best, and I pray for you, my dear friend. Be the best you are at, and all the love in the world. Thank you.
Hi, all. What we can do is we have 30 more minutes before a priest comes to do the last prayer before we take Max to the mortuary back. I know a lot of you are wondering, is he going to have a burial today? He's not. His father and I have decided that we are going to cremate his physical remains. It's a very personal information, and I hope his dad is okay by me sharing this. A portion of his cremated remains are going to stay with his daddy, and the other portion is going to be with me. And I think he should rest in his home, which I'm going to be building for babies like him, which is called Max's home. So at some point in time, I will take him to India, and I'll bury his physical remains after cremation. Till then, my baby's going to be with me at home. So that's not done today. That will be another day. So to save time, if any of you want to say anything about him, you can continue to do so. At the same time, people can come and view him. It's okay to do that. Thank you.